What's up, guys? Bienvenidos to Todo en Vida podcast. My name is Ashley Estrada. I am the host of Todo en Vida podcast. And if you're new here, whether you're new or returning, I just wanted to embrace you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm sending you a hug wherever you're at. I wanted to start off. I know it's been a little bit since I recorded. However, guys, if you guys ever see me in person or out in public, please. I tend to get like messages sometimes where people will be like, and I'll feel it. I'll feel like someone's watching me, but I'm like, nah, I'm tripping, you know? And then I'll get a message like, I saw you here, but I didn't want to say hi, or I was too scared to say hi. Please don't ever feel that way. If you ever see me, say what's up. Not only embracing you guys through, the microphone to your speaker right now, but I also want to be able to embrace you guys in real life. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to dive right into it. This isn't so much of a where have you been at, what you've been up to. This is more of a, what have I learned, honestly, the last few months. Okay, well, let's just get right into it. So probably like a year ago, I got myself back into a situation that I should not have been there to begin with. God had already revealed that was not where I was supposed to be. And, I'm not really ashamed to admit it because we all have a weakness, right? And when the devil can't reach you, he can send people, situations, things like that. But yeah, I was in a situation that I know that I shouldn't have been in. And while it showed me my strengths, it also steered me very far away from my values. And I think that I've gotten to an age where something that I'm hearing a lot in between individuals is that they're saying, why am I learning this lesson at this age? Whatever that may look like. Someone listening right now, and maybe that lesson is in motherhood. Maybe that lesson is, between a family dynamic. Maybe that lesson is in relationships. Whatever I don't want to call it a weak spot, but like whatever is sent your way to teach you that lesson, whatever relationship that looks like, or whoever it's in between, whatever. We tend to say that a lot. Like, why am I learning this lesson at this age? And another thing that we tend to do too is that we tend to steer away from confidence. We tend to steer away from just really having that, that self-esteem, because we feel like we're not capable or in the position to receive good things until we do this. Now, let's kind of break this down. So when I got into this situation that I knew I shouldn't have been in, it was crazy because right before this, I was really in a season of preaching, like, I really, really want to surrender. I'm asking God to surrender. The thing is, you have to be really careful when you ask God to take control and make the decisions for you, because you have to be comfortable with whatever that decision is, even if it's unfamiliar to you or if you just simply don't know. And you have to trust it because that's what you asked for. Now, we are also human. So while that's easier said than done, I also want to remind you that you cannot know different if you don't know different. You can't do different if you don't know different. First step is, like I've always said, is it's going to be self-awareness, of course. But I got to a point where I've always been self-aware, but which is like, that's the first step. Like some people don't even have that, or some people want to be able to have that. The people that don't have it, I think it's more because they don't want it. And the people that are trying to obtain it is because they're learning along the way that certain things are just not working for them, So that's what I started to do. I was in a season of asking God to like allow me to surrender, but then my flesh came into play where like I'm wanting to surrender, but I'm not knowing how to. And honestly, I think when you don't, who knows how to do that, right? Because it's like fear of the unknown and all those things. But what I'm trying to say is that when I was going through this process, I was realizing all the things that I needed to change about myself instead of embracing the growth that was going to be on the other side. But I understand and I feel for the people that it's a scary thought. And I think what was the scariest part for me, unlearning and having to surrender certain qualities that I possessed or certain survival tactics that I've had and that have always worked for me. They've always worked for me to obtain like physical things, like, or material things, right? Because it's something that I can work towards and like get it done. And my mentality before is like, if you want something, you're just going to get it. You could do that with like a car, or like a house. You could work towards that. But there's things that people don't teach you, like how to be kinder to yourself, like how to build up your self-esteem, like how to, ask for discernment. Like there's certain things that like it's not just you want it, you're going to get it. You got to learn it, and you got to unlearn other habits or ways of being, or ways of thinking, And so when I got into that season, dude, I was really, really fighting it. Right here that you guys see me strong and you guys see me like so confident and everything, like I was really, really struggling with it because I was having to unlearn everything I've ever known. And that really, really shot my self-esteem like all the way down. And especially too, because I grew up not knowing how to speak kinder to myself. And I think that that's something that a lot of people have been able to relate to on the podcast, is that you grew up experiencing certain things, whatever topic it may be on the podcast, right? You grew up experiencing that. And it's like the saying goes, it's very true. What happened to you is not your fault, but how you recover from it and move forward, that is entirely up to you. Now, everything that I preached on the podcast when I first started this, it was very from a place of survival, very headstrong, very like, if you want to, get it done, you're going to do it. But like I said, that worked for me when it came to possessing physical or like materialistic things. And along the way, when I was having to learn things that, money cannot buy, it really like shot down my self-esteem. And I felt like also too, when I describe certain things, that might not be what it was for you guys, because I know that they're in different like circumstances. But like for me, it was like, I'm not ready to come to God, or I'm not ready to surrender, or I'm not ready to like do these things. One, because I'm scared, but also two, because I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. Also too, if you guys have known, which I've never cared about other people's opinions about me, because honestly, that doesn't put food on my plate, doesn't take it off, or money in my bank account. But I think that I always like was very judgmental of myself. And so in the process of me unlearning the things that I knew that worked for me for so long, and then the fear of surrender, I started smoking again. And I feel like, and everybody has their something, right? Like everybody has like their weakness, right? And I started smoking again. And point is that I started to get so in my head. And this is where, on top of my nervous system just being shot from the years of everything I've like endured, which, guys, please, if you're listening to this, pay attention to your nervous system. Pay attention to your nervous system when you're around certain people. Also pay attention to your nervous system when you're around people that you love and that love you. Pay attention to your nervous system, because your nervous system tells you a lot. Now, I will say this. Your nervous system starts to react sometimes before you even know why you're reacting. And that was something that really started to trigger like my anxiety. And it started to trigger like a lot of social anxiety. And I started to even feel kind of like pushed away from even like my faith, because I'm like, oh, can't God just fix all of this? Like, but that's when I'm supposed to, how can I come to God when I have anxiety? How can I come to God when I smoke? How can I come to God when I have tattoos? How can I surrender and ask God to work in my life when I'm not ready? And that's not how it works. He doesn't, anoint the called. He calls the anointed. And that's whatever that looks like for you, For me, I was actually talking to somebody one day, and I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Show up to church knowing that I'm still hitting the pipa on the side? Like, I straight up said it like that. Like, what am I supposed to do? And they said, keep showing up. And I was like, no, but how am I going to show up when I know I'm still sinful? When I know that I'm not like, not only that, but like I get on this podcast and I'm like, I'm talking about him and, all these things, right? And then she said, you think God doesn't have the power to take that away from you? And I was like, yeah, he does. And then she told me, she's like, which I already know that the temptation of sin comes from your own desires, right? So whatever. Point is, I started giving into that. And she told me, have God meet you where you're at. and let him do the rest. And mind you, I'm talking about like my self-esteem. I'm talking about my confidence. I'm talking about me becoming aware of all the things that I wanted to change about myself, which if they were so great for me to want to change, then why would I be changing them, right? So that just goes to show they weren't like, they were things that I possessed, qualities or whatever, or like certain reactions to things or certain ways of thinking that I possessed that clearly weren't good. So I wanted to let them go because I turned 29 this year. And I know people be saying all the time, like, oh, my birthday. But like, really, if you see each year that you get to experience and you see it as a chapter and you reflect back on it, I think it's really important to move with intention. And when I turned 29 in April, I told myself, this is the last year of this generation of mine. Mind you, I'm 29, so that means like it's in my head, like 3 sets of 10, like 3 generations, so 3 chapters for me, you know. And I started to really reflect on my 20s. Mind you, I don't know how to speak kindly to myself. I'm more of like a no te hagas la pendeja, do what you need to, you know, like that voice that I was raised to like have in my head stayed there, and that really, really deterred me away from all the things that I am, which is like, I'm love, light, positivity. People come to me sometimes when they just want an ear to be lent or they want to feel some sort of peace. Like I possess that gift, and a lot of people see it, but I couldn't see it myself because my confidence was so low, because I felt like I was undeserving, because I was realizing that there was a lot of things about myself that I needed to change. And I felt like all the things that I knew before worked for me. So why did I need to change them? Until I started to realize that they were no longer serving me purpose in this season. And then you start to beat yourself up and you start to tell yourself, why am I learning at this age? Whatever that looks like for you. You got out of a failed relationship. You just ended the career you thought was going to be your retirement job, and like all these things, right? And that's the beauty of life, is that you're constantly evolving. Now, when I started to reflect back on my 20s, like I said, I realized I'm 29. I've spent all of my 20s wanting to have everything figured out, being so hard on myself, trying to be in control of the future, which is where I started to develop my anxiety, because that's what it is. Anxiety is you trying to predict what hasn't came yet in order for you to feel safe, that you know what's going to happen. But remember, you're not in control, right? So it's like, that's hard to accept because you want like a security. And so when I realized that my nervous system and the patterns that I've had were wired to me, and these are the things I had to change, I don't know, like, I think the enemy just started to kind of creep up into my head and started to make me feel like I was undeserving. So then I got into a season of like, I really like isolation. Like, I wasn't recording the podcast. I was hardly even posting like on my business page. And don't get me wrong, during these months, I have found a beauty in privacy and being more like stoic. But I've also learned that all the things that I thought I knew, like, and I was so scared to let go of, not only, like I've said, were not serving me purpose, but like, what was the fear of letting all that stuff go when it's literally driving me insane? And like, I know people say like, oh my God, girl, like I get anxiety too. Like, cause I'd be talking with my clients or talking with my homegirls, whatever. And they'd be like, oh my God, girl, I get anxiety too. And I'll literally look at them and be like, how do you not lose your shit? And they're like, oh, I do. And I'm like, no, but like, it started to be to the point where I was so consumed by it. And mind you, I was only consumed by it because I care. Not only that, but I think anxiety definitely started to play a role in it. I'm new to the anxiety club. Okay, I'm new to that. I grew up very Hispanic, very like that doesn't exist, until my nervous system started to show me that it does. Because it didn't become just mental, it became like physical. Like, I'll give you guys an example. Like, I was telling my producer off camera right now. I went to the Toyota arena. If you guys are from the IE, all right, if y'all caught me there, cool. And if you didn't say what's up, we could have, friend. But I went to the OGZ concert, right? And I have my tickets and I know I have them in my email. And I'm walking up to the door and literally my hand's shaking. I have the worst, mind you, I get on this podcast and I got videos that got like millions of likes, but I've never been one to pay attention to the numbers. Matter of fact, I record these podcasts. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've listened to episodes back. Because I come on here, I speak from the heart, and I just let its will be done, right? So anyways, I go to the concert and I'm having the worst social anxiety. Like I'm talking to the point where it's not even in my head, it's in my hands. I'm shaking. I can't even find the ticket. And as I'm like feeling this, because you get so consumed by it, mind you, you suffer more in your own head than you do in your own reality. And like, that's how anxiety works. Like you start to not only feel it in your head, but then you start to feel it physically. And I always thought that was a lie until I started to experience it. And I think it's just because of all the things that I've been through. Like my nervous system has become equipped to respond to certain things. But even when that same scenario is not happening, that can cause my nervous system to go into overdrive. Even if it feels the slightest bit familiar, I will start to feel it physically. So while I'm there, I'm like feeling it. And I just hear a girl go, "Oh my God, can I take a picture with you?" Like she was so nice, so humble, so like sweet, just genuine. And she's like, and mind you, at this point, I haven't recorded the podcast in months. I just started to get over the feeling of feeling defeated, feeling like I wasn't really like worthy. Like I didn't really know, like again, like self-esteem issues and stuff like that. And then she asked me to take a picture. And of course, like I probably looked more scared than anything, but I was just so confused what God was doing. Because why is it that I'm in a season where I'm like ashamed? I'm steering further and further away from him. Even though I feel him, I'm steering further and further away from him only because I felt I wasn't deserving. And here he is showing me that my fruits have been good. And even when I decided to stay away from him, he really showed up for me. He showed up for me even when I decided to ignore him. And then whatever, that happened on a Friday. And then Saturday, I go to spend time with my family. And that was just really nice because, you know, one of my clients, when she gets tickets, she'll hit me up and she'll be like, "Here for you and your family." I'm like, dude, the fact that she even thinks of me and my family, you know, I was like, okay, like maybe I'm doing, like what I'm trying to say is over the weekend, I started to realize maybe I'm doing something right. And maybe like, well, God is showing me in life and like the fruits, like the seeds that I've planted are flourishing. And they were flourishing before my eyes, before I could even process what was happening. And when I was in literally this just happened maybe like Cinco de Mayo weekend, I was like, "You're not down." And I'm there and I'm feeling like so little because, and nobody knew though. Like I look great on the outside, like shit, hair long, I'm in the gym, everything. I'm feeling good, but like internally and like my self-esteem was like low. And as I'm there, mind you, because my friend got us into like the family and friends section. I ain't never been a part of no VIP like that, right? So when I'm back there, I mention you, there's like people with just bigger status. And I've never been like impressed by stuff like that. But I think just because of where I was at mentally and like where my self-esteem was at, I think that it just made me feel smaller more than I was actually nobody even made me feel that way. You know what I'm saying? It was just like more me. And then like, as I'm there, a girl looks over to me and she's like, "Don't you have a podcast?" And then like, I met girls in the audience that were like, "Hey, I recognize you from the podcast. Like, dude, keep going. Like, we haven't seen you." They'll tell me like, "We haven't seen you." They'll tell me that on TikTok. They'll tell me that on the podcast. They're like, "We haven't seen you." And I'm like, "Oh, dude," like, cause I'm learning just like all of you guys are. Now imagine learning and then somebody hands you a mic. You're like, ugh. Like, you don't really know what to do with it. But every time I record these episodes, as much as I would love to be the type of girl to like sit down and write down all these topics and make the flow of the conversation just kind of like flow, I promise you guys, I just get the mic and I just tell God, like, use me as a vessel and whatever I need to say. So I think that, not even I think, I know. I started this podcast because I wanted to not speak for the underdog, but speak as an underdog. And know that, like, outside of social media, outside of the clock that you think you should have X, Y, and Z together by a certain age, I should be married and have kids by this point, and I speak for the people that are probably still chasing right now financial freedom and think that that's the answer. And I'm here to, like, tell you, like, babe, when you get there, there's still so much to learn. I'm speaking for the people that are questioning why they're learning certain lessons at this age. I'm speaking to the people, I should say that, to the people, not for the people, but, to the people that are so stuck in their own head like I was. And mind you, I'm learning with you guys, okay? I'm learning with you guys. I don't have the answers, and I've never came on here and said that I've had the answers. I will say when I first started the podcast, I felt very, very like I know what I'm talking about, because survival, talk to me about survival. Give me a problem, I know how to solve it. Bring to me a crisis, and I know how to, like, try to fix it, right? Because that's where I shine the most. But now, turning 29, I want to learn how to accept good things. I want to learn how to accept the good things so that I no longer feel undeserving. Because even when I have felt, or I thought I was undeserving, I've been shown actually how deserving I am. And I don't say that with, like, cockiness. I say that with, like, a humble heart, because even though I am deserving of, for example, finally being heard. For a really long time, I felt so, like, unseen. And the thing is like, I also never cared to be seen, but just the feeling of feeling so unseen, so misunderstood, feeling like a charity case, or just speaking so negatively about myself. I think also, too, being in therapy has helped me to embrace the good things about myself. And that's what I want. I would love for you guys to do as well. Is, like, instead of saying, why am I learning at this age? Remember, you get out of that prison cell in your brain of thinking it's only you. I promise you, the business owners that you guys see that think got everything together, hell nah. Sometimes there's nights, I'll be talking to homegirls that got 2 businesses. Their partner owns a business, and they'd be like, hey, I just want to make sure I got enough for sushi tonight. You know what I'm saying? And not because, every business is like that. What I'm trying to say is that not everyone always has it together. And I've been the person that I've wanted to have, like, everything together. Like, I've ran with it all. Oh, I'm supposed to be married by this age, have kids by this age. Once I have the business, I'm like, oh my God, bro, all those lies, don't trip. I already told them to myself. And it literally drove me to a place of, like I said, just, like, low self-esteem. Also steered me very far away from my discernment, which is why I had the lesson that I had. It wasn't a punishment. I think it was just a reminder of where being disobedient will get you. And sometimes, not even sometimes, you'll be aware of your disobedience. Like, okay, the only one I know how to relate to, right? Relationships. But you'll do the prayer of removal, and then they're gone. And then you're like, okay, but I wasn't ready for that though, So then you'll tell God, like, okay, show up like this, remove me. And then he'll do that. And then, dude, you get to the point where you're like, actually, God, scratch that. Make this my person, please. I want this one. Or same thing with, like, a job. You'll be like, you know what, God, like, instead of leaving it in your, like, at first you're like, God, if it's not it for me, like, don't let me get the job. And then you don't get the job, and you're like, bruh, why didn't I get the job? So then, and then instead of it being his way, you start to be like, God, I know you probably got other jobs lined up for me, but if you could do me a paro, can you make it this job? Because I really want this one. And it's like, we do that when, dude, we do that with everything, bro. We do that with everything. When it comes to buying a house, a certain job, like, we ask God to take control of it. and allow us to surrender the idea of what we want for ourselves. But then he does that, and then your disobedience comes in where you're like, but I want things done this way. And maybe not with everything, right? Maybe it's like with some things you know how to release and be like, okay, if it's not for me, it's not for me. But then, bro, everybody got a weak point, all right? And if you don't, kudos to whatever superhuman you are, but like everybody has something. We just all show it differently. And I think that it takes you getting off course to realize where you want to land, like how to get back on course. And I've told you guys about my story. I've told you guys about the things I've gone through. I've told you guys I wanted to surrender. I was at one point trying to speak on how to get on the other side of it while I was learning, because I was like, I still gotta talk on this platform. You know what I'm saying? So like, let me just tell them what I'm learning along the way. And that can shift because you're constantly evolving. Like, I don't know, before for me, I thought it was like, I got to be in the gym like 5 days a week, or I got to make a certain amount of money, or I got to like, do this and like, oh, that's going to make me feel better. Or like, no, it's more just now like having a balance, like not being so fixated on wanting things done my way, because you get tired of that. Not only do you get tired of it, God will let you get tired of it. And even when he serves you the reality check or like the lesson, he does it with so much grace that he reminds you like, I've been here all along. And it's okay to have your moments where you block out your discernment. And I'm not saying it's okay to do because, oh, like we got a million do-overs in this lifetime. No, I'm aware we're all on a clock. I'm fully aware of that. But I think that when you set this expectation for yourself that you're this superhuman, that from one day to the next, you're just going to get it. You're going to know how to, fit it in your schedule to go to the gym 5 days a week and, hit your macros. And, when you set those unrealistic expectations for yourself, like I'm going to be this perfect Christian and tomorrow I'm going to stop smoking. Like when you set those unrealistic expectations for yourself, you are setting yourself up to fail, because right? Like I used to tell myself, well, if you want something, you just get it. Okay. But at this grown age, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, we're chasing things money cannot buy, rewiring our nervous system, building up our confidence, our self-esteem, knowing, when to remain humble and when to accept the good news, when to be able to accept good things in your life, a compliment, some love, learning how to accept that. Now, people say, but I don't know. I'm on that boat. But I don't know how to accept it. But I don't know how to accept it. You ever catch yourself like meeting somebody and you're like, dude, I instantly clicked with this person. It might have been a friend. It might have been a service provider. It might have been a barber. It might have been whatever that looks like. And you have the desire in your heart to like show people love. So why can't you accept it when it's being given to you? You give it, and you're just like, well, because I want to, like, why, like today I got a facial. I paid for the facial, whatever. I tip her. And like, okay, I'm gonna just tell you how the cheese went. I spent $160 on the facial and I tipped her $20, right? And when I went ahead and I did that service, mind you, I'm a service provider. So if I had to check somebody out for $200, I'm like, damn. In this economy, $200? I'm so thankful, right? But then when it's opposite, I'm like, hey, swipe it and add tip. Because I know how to give off love, yet it's so hard for me to receive it. So now instead I tell myself, okay, it comes natural for you to give it. So when it comes natural to other people to give it to you, learn how to accept it. Learn how to accept it. I don't know how to accept it, but I started to see like, and if you want to be able to tell whether or not, like, I don't want to say like whether you're a good or bad person, because that's not the correct wording here. But if you ever want to see if you're doing something right, take a look at your fruits. Really take a look at your fruits. And okay, maybe for someone that is out there that says, well, what does that look like? What can a reflection of my fruits be? How are you raising your children? How How are you showing up in your career? Do your coworkers have good things to say about you? Or scratch that. Some coworkers be haters. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm trying to say is like the seed that you plant wherever you go, whether that's in motherhood, whether that's in your job, whether that's in your classroom, whether that's in your social circle, is it rooted from a good place? Because no matter what you do, good or bad, the product and the result of that action is going to be able to tell on itself whether it was good or bad. It's like cooking. What's the secret ingredient that always makes food good? It's love. Because you're doing it from a good place. You're doing it from good intentions. So you could be making something for the first time. You don't know how to make it, but you're making it with good intentions. Something is going to come out good. Now you do that enough times and then you start to realize, hey, I'm actually a pretty good cook. You know? And then if you do something with malicious intent, I'll give you guys I give you guys examples because these are things I've lived, right? So 7 months after I bought my car, mind you, when I bought the car, that was like my dream car. 7 months after I buy the car, I get T-boned. I owed about $36,000 on the car. The repairs were $34,800 and something. So I'm only like $1,500 off from getting this car total lost. Mind you, I got a 5.7 RT. So I'm like, in my head, right? I'm like, I could go for the Scat Pack. I could go for the Hellcat. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know, hopefully they just total lost it. Like I've never been the type to like do no janky shit, but I was like, I really just want them to like total loss it so I can go and get something better, right? When I found out it wasn't total loss, I was so pissed off. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like all mad. But had I wanted to do that out of greed, and greed is not something that's rooted in a good place, so we'll call it malicious, right? Like, so when you root something in a malicious place, it's never going to last. I probably would have got a fat check, went and bought myself a Hellcat, or went and bought myself whatever other car I wanted, and probably 5 months down the road, it wasn't going to last me. Something was going to happen and me iba a costar doble. Why? Because my intention wasn't rooted from a good place. So with that being said, it's just a lesson in like, if you're ever there questioning yourself, which I know a lot of times we do, or you're just being hard on yourself, take a look at the fruits that you've planted and what that looks like. Don't be so hard on yourself to the point where you're trying to be perfect, but be intentional. Every day, try to do better, but also try to be kinder to yourself and know like where your limits are. That looks different for everybody. And I know that someone that's probably relating and listening to this right now is like, well, I don't know what my limits are, but I don't know what this. Give it time. Just trust it. Someone's walking that walk with you. And that's where you have to pay attention to your discernment. Women, especially, we have this gift, not only of women's intuition, of course, but discernment. I feel like we're more rooted in a place of like nurturing love and emotion. So I feel like that discernment that we have, women already kind of want to say like have an upper hand. Because men are not wired to be emotional, nor are they wired to be vulnerable. So it's harder for them to like go into faith and stuff like that, you know, but I just know girls feel it more. So I'm just speaking for the girls. That's all I meant to say with that comment. And yeah, that's pretty much where I've been. Moving forward, I just want to be able to showcase to you guys where I'm at in life and my personality, because I'm actually really funny. And there's actually a lot of other topics I want to talk about. I don't want to just talk about survival. I don't want to just talk about me. I want to talk about some relatable stuff, like why you shouldn't be dating somebody with a baby daddy, or like why you should be dating somebody with a baby mama, or what it looks like walking in your faith while still being sinful. Having to rewire your nervous system and like talk about all those things, or, you know, just more relatable stuff. And I was telling my producer, like, I don't know if this episode specifically was meant to be relatable, motivational, whatever, but he's like, you're just relatable. So that's the blessing that I possess. And I tried to be very intentional I try to be very intentional. I am aware that sometimes I could be so intentional that I'm really in my head, more in my head than I need to be, and more in my head do I suffer than in my own reality. But I think that that's what makes me relatable to a lot of you. You guys feel like probably you're the only one going through it. You're not. You're not. You're not the only one telling yourself, why am I barely learning this at 29? Why wasn't I nicer to myself when I was younger? Why didn't I appreciate my body more? Why didn't I, all these things? And yeah, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. That is tiring. And it's also tiring to think that I have to come to God when I'm perfect and complete. And that's not it. I've told God, meet me where I'm at, and I'll let you do the rest. And along the way, I'm learning how to be nicer to myself. And I think that that's something that we're all constantly evolving in. But moving forward, I just want to show you guys, showcase more of my personality, talk more about like everyday topics, not just this, because I know that this is very in depth and it's very like good for people that probably feel alone. But there's another side of the bridge. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And you guys are part of my fruits as well. I planted this seed going on 3 years ago, and I didn't really know what it was going to do. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I see a lot of people in my industry, because I'm an esthetician. I see a lot of people in my industry, which is good for them. They're chasing, the money, the recognition, the status, the probably having like the best product line on the market, like whatever it is that they're chasing something. And given the fact that I'm an esthetician and I have my business and everything, I've kind of questioned where I land in that. And I realized that I'm meant to feel like I don't belong in that, because my purpose is greater than just chasing the money. Because like, that's great and all, like building a brand, building a business you're proud of, and where it stems from, whether you're first generation American, whatever, I think those things are blessings. But God has given me my blessings, and he's giving me a business that is pretty stable. And while I'll never get comfortable, and I'm always going to like chase more, I am also aware that like you guys are part of my fruits. And this podcast and these episodes and these seasons that I've been in and the ups and downs, because if you listen to the episodes, trust me, if I went back and actually listened to the episodes, you could tell when I'm on my stuff. You could tell when I'm losing my shit. You could tell, not only does the camera pick up good energy, but like the mic does too. But what I'm trying to say is that you guys are part of this purpose. Me talking to you guys, me being vulnerable, me being upfront is part of my purpose. Because the whole point was to just try to reach one person. It wasn't even the numbers. It wasn't anything else. It was just mainly this. So that's where I've been at. That's been the tea. Moving forward, I'm going to show you guys just more of, honestly, my personality. We're going to talk more. We're going to, I know that these topics can get heavy, but we'll see what the future holds. I'm going to let God take the wheel on this as he's taking it in this episode. I replayed so many times what I was going to say to you guys, but I'm going to leave you guys with that. Don't ever think that you're undeserving of God's grace, his mercy, and his love. Know that that's just the enemy. Whenever you start to feel anxiety, remember that the best thing you could do is get your body moving, okay? Remember that your anxiety does lie to you. So take control of what's in front of you. Grasp and ground yourself back down to reality. Take your deep breaths. When you start to feel your anxiety act up, even if that's like your nervous system, try to be aware of your surroundings. Are you around people that you love? Are you around people that might be triggering it? Whatever it is. And just ground yourself. Try to get resources like therapy. Therapy's really helped me as well. And if this episode in itself helped a little bit, then I'm really, really grateful for that. I'm really happy that God is doing his will. And like I was telling my producer, I'm not on here because I'm a perfect Christian. I'm not on here because I know how to recite scripture word for word. I'm not on here because I'm a perfect believer. I'm on here because even when I ignore him, he shows up. And even in between all of my mess, he showed up for me like he's going to show up for you. And, just pray on that. Pray for discernment. Probably just a bad day. Not a bad life. Your anxiety can lie to you. I love you guys. If you guys see me in public, please just know my RBF is not on purpose. I just be trying to mind my business. But if you guys see me, please say hi. I would love to give you guys a hug, embrace you guys, and just be of help any way I can. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we'll see what's cracking on the next episode, all right? If you guys see me, say what's up. Tune in to Todo en Vida podcast, whether you guys subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, follow my business page. There's really no reason you should be going into summer with a hairy coochie, okay? So come see me. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see what this episode does, all right? Love you guys. Peace out.